Welcome to Switch version 13, the latest release of our prominent automation software solution. The following video has been designed to present the new features included within this major release. One of the most immediate enhancements that existing Switch users will notice is that Switch buttons and some flow element icons have been refined. This improvement is especially useful when discerning between auto-managed and user-defined folders. Auto-managed folders now include a subtle padlock icon to quickly identify this status. User-defined folders will be blank. Arranging flow elements on the Switch canvas has been enhanced by snapping to an invisible grid. This feature will quickly save time as flows will now be neatly arranged as they are built, no longer requiring additional steps to align elements. To help Switch users more effectively manage flows, you can now export flow groups to retain the group hierarchy of a particular flow pane or groups of flows. This is especially beneficial for the purposes of backing up flows, moving a Switch installation, or sharing flows with another user. Here, we'll choose Flow, Export All, choose a destination directory, and notice the results. Individual flows are exported as single files per flow with the familiar sflow file extension, while flow groups are saved using the new sflows file extension to signal multiple flows. When flows are now imported, the structure is completely retained. When an already existing flow or flow group is imported, they will continue to be imported fully intact, but as a copy with a '1 file name suffix. The evolution of Switch messages has reached its most powerful phase in Switch 13, combining accessibility and comprehensiveness in a web browser-based Switch message viewer. From the Switch Designer, simply click the Messages button, which now opens a web browser, and all related Switch messages will be displayed. Share this URL and gain remote access to your Switch messages. All that's needed is your favorite web browser. No additional software or licensing is necessary to use this new feature. Messages can be chronologically reordered from most recent to oldest or oldest to most recent by clicking on the Date and Time column heading and selecting the desired order. You'll also notice the arrow icon change directions. In this same column heading, you can also apply filters that will allow further control over messages being displayed based on a particular period in time as selected in the filter. For example, here I've filtered my messages to display only those messages captured during February 9th and 10th, and as you can see, my display is adjusted accordingly. Additionally, notice the filter icon now displayed in this column heading. The remaining column headings will also allow for various types of filtering specific to the type of information contained within. For example, you'll see that most columns can be alphabetically reordered. And notice how the type column heading will allow you to filter on single or multiple types of Switch messages. In the remaining columns, enter specific data into the Contains Any field to filter on that text. Filtering settings can be saved by bookmarking the URL to easily return to a specific filtered overview. To clear any applied filters, simply click the Clear Filters button in the upper right corner of this window. In this same area, you can also enable the ability to wrap text for longer Switch messages by clicking the Wrap Text button. Here you can see the results. And clicking the Export Log button will allow the viewer to save the displayed messages as a CSV file. You can also enable or disable the auto refresh feature or change to one of the 5 available languages. Debug messages are quickly accessible by first going to the Switch Preferences, Logging, and here, set the option Log Debug Messages to Yes. Now, click on Messages again, click on the Type column, and include or filter debug messages. When clicking the Messages button from the Switch Designer, users will immediately be directed to the browser display, but when logging in remotely using the URL, it will be necessary to have user and permission credentials established on the Switch server. On the Switch server, click the Users button in the Switch Designer. Select an existing user or create a new user, and notice the new option for Web Browser Access. Set this accordingly per user. In the Switch Preferences, visit the Web Service option to set further details related to the web browser-based Switch messages. You'll see the option to change the default port, select from two different protocols, notice the additional options if set to HTTPS, and lastly, to include a privacy page link if desired. The compress and uncompress tools have been replaced in Switch 13 with the archive and unarchive tools. These tools work very similar to their predecessors, but in addition, they provide support for Unicode as well as zip files in excess of 4 GB for files that comply with the ZIP64 format. For compatibility reasons, compress and uncompress remain available. You can find them in the Legacy category within the Flow Elements pane. Several tools have been updated to improve file handling, including Assemble Job, Hold Job, Split PDF, and Merge PDF. Depending upon the flow itself, tests have shown speed improvements when compared to the same tools from previous versions. All Adobe configurators have been rewritten for Switch 13, allowing configurators to be updated and more quickly available if and when updates are released from Adobe. The updated configurators will support the CC 2014 and CC 2015 exclusively, as well as Adobe Acrobat DC. Earlier Adobe configurators can still be used in Switch 13 to support older versions of Adobe software, but only one set of Adobe configurators can be used at one time. See more details in the Switch documentation. The CorelDRAW configurator is now compatible with the latest version of CorelDRAW, version X7, and the QuarkXPress configurator is now compatible with QuarkXPress 2015. HP, Allwin Color Hub, and the Woodwing Enterprise configurators have also been updated within Switch 13. The nFocus PitStop Server PDF-to-Image configurator can convert a PDF file to an image file. There are various options available. PNG and JPEG formats are supported in a variety of color spaces. Output can be composite or separated. For a full list of available features, please see the documentation for the PDF-to-Image configurator for nFocus Switch. This functionality can be useful for generating thumbnails or repurposing PDF job files as low-resolution images. Please note that you must first have a licensed installation of PitStop Server version 13 on the same system as Switch in order to gain access to the PitStop Server PDF-to-Image configurator. ApproveXpress is a cloud-based web approval and collaboration solution which allows nFocus Switch users to provide the necessary parties, for example, a print buyer, publisher, or art director, with a straightforward online approval system. Switch will notify the designated recipients by email that a job is ready for review. The email notification includes a link to the ApproveXpress server where the reviewer will find all the necessary tools to review the job, including buttons to approve or reject. Once finalized, Switch will then register the reviewer's decision and route the job to the appropriate stage in the workflow. XSL transformations have been possible in Switch for some time. Simply described, these types of transformations can convert incoming XML data into an XML with a different structure. As seen in this example, a rather complex JDF file can be transformed using an XSL style sheet to something simpler. In this example, we've used the XSLT transform configurator, which is capable of XSL 1.0 transformations. When we examine the same JDF file more closely, we see that it contains the details for both the cover and text pages in one JDF file. In addition, the job was supplied as two separate PDFs, one for the cover and one for the text pages. Not unlike our previous example, we'll need to change the structure of the incoming JDF file. More specifically, we'll need to split its contents. This type of transformation is not possible using the XSL 1.0 format of the XSLT transform configurator. The new Saxon configurator in Switch 13 allows for performing the necessary XSL 2.0 transformation to achieve the required results. Once I've selected the proper XSL style sheet, and after processing, you can see that I now have matching XML files for both my cover and text files with the unique job specifications for each. The Collect Results option will direct if the resulting XML files are sent as single XML files or as multiple XML files within a job folder to the outgoing connection. For advanced users, the Saxon configurator can also perform X queries, and you can specify a configuration file if desired to enable even further control. Please note that the Saxon configurator requires the installation of the Saxon software separately. Consult your Switch documentation for further guidance on this topic. Caldera users hold workflow automation in the highest regards, seeking even further automation through integration with products such as Enfocus Switch. With the addition of the Caldera Nexio configurators, Switch can offer wide format vendors superior job submission and data management throughout their workflows. The Caldera Nexio Submit configurator is capable of submitting files to the Caldera Nexio production connector, which, in turn, can connect to a Caldera RIP for automated print processing. Once files are processed, Caldera creates JDF job ticket reports, which can then be further processed in Enfocus Switch using the Caldera Nexio Collect configurator. The new AccuZip configurator in Switch 13 provides mail processing services for mailing using the U.S. Postal Service. The AccuZip Direct Mail configurator, which is certified by the U.S. Postal Service, is a revolutionary technology that allows users to integrate a complete end-to-end postal automation workflow with 100% visibility of all mail pieces in the mail stream. Significantly reduce labor costs associated with manual mail list preparation and gain instant access to EDDM list creation, CAS certification, NCOA link processing, duplicate detection, PAVE presort, full-service mail.dat eDocs, and hard copy postage statements for 100% unattended operation. Use Switch and the AccuZip configurator to process mail files exclusively, or combine both print and mail processing for unparalleled automation. Thank you for watching and enjoy using the new features in our latest release of Switch version 13.